The fall of Earthina. The skies of Velthor burned in violet fire as Earthina fell. Commander Ayla of the Glorathian clade, the last daughter of the Sapphire bloodline, stood motionless on the crumbling ridge of a once proud citadel. Behind her, the remnants of her legion waited silently, their long necks arched in grief. Their claws were still blood-stained, though not with victory. The humans had come, not in blustering fleets or arrogant dreadnoughts, but in silence. They slipped through the planetary defenses like ghosts, as if gravity bent for them. Their weapons weren't louder, faster, or sharper. They were smarter and far more terrifying. The Glorathian Empire had scouted the Terrans as a minor race, bipedal mammals with inflated notions of self-worth, dangerous only in theory. Yet over 30 cycles, system after system fell not with war, but with surrender. Now Ayla had been captured. Her arms, too many to count for a human, were bound in biochain cuffs. The human soldiers, encased in armor more elegant than threatening, escorted her down from the scorched mountain. They never spoke. She expected torture, dismemberment, or perhaps a lab dissection. Her people had once eaten sentient races. This, she assumed, would be payback. The humans brought her to a domed city nestled inside the very crater her people had tried to glass. The air smelled of ozone and green things. She blinked, astonished. There were gardens here. Children. The humans didn't look like victors. They looked alive. Happy. Ayla was escorted into a room of soft lighting and a curved table. A single Terran stood inside. Female. Dark-skinned, tall. Her eyes unreadable pools of brown. The human inclined her head. I'm Ambassador Cynthia Rowe. You're not a prisoner, Commander Ayla. You're an opportunity. Ayla hissed. You beat us. What use do you have for me now? Cynthia smiled. We're not interested in revenge. We want to learn. And perhaps you might learn from us too. She expected human eat her. But not like that. The human appetite. Over the weeks that followed, Ayla was moved to a communal residence. Not a cell. She was given books, both physical and neural, weaving human culture, strategy, history, and, perplexingly, cuisine. Cynthia visited her every morning, sometimes bringing strange foods. This one's called lasagna, she'd say. Or you need to try tacos. The human fixation with flavors was irrational, yet hypnotizing. Ayla began to notice a pattern. The Terrans didn't conquer through war alone. They consumed cultures. Not through destruction but assimilation. What they couldn't beat, they learned. What they learned, they reimagined. And what they reimagined, they made their own. One night, Cynthia brought her to a gathering hall. Dozens of species, once enemies of humanity, mingled in harmony. A giant Morvath juggled plasma balls while a Zenthian quartet played strange flutes with their wings. A holographic banner read, "Unity through curiosity." Ayla turned to Cynthia. This is how you win. You seduce species with peace and flavor and shared songs. Cynthia chuckled. You're not wrong. War's expensive. But dinner is cheap. Every species wants to be seen, heard, and tasted. Ayla stiffened. Tasted. Metaphorically, Cynthia winked. But also not. Your people ate others, yes. Humans don't eat sapience, but we do crave experience. Art, music, language. We'll digest your culture, keep the good parts, throw away the bad. That's how we grow. Ayla shivered. There was no malice. But the Terrans devoured civilizations. Not by blade, but by curiosity. She expected human eat her, but not like that. Crisis. The rebellion within. Ayla was no fool. Behind the harmony, she sensed discontent. Not all Glorathians had surrendered. Deep in the asteroid belt, a rebel faction called the Clawborn plotted retaliation. Then came the coded message. A broadcast sent in the old tongue, encrypted beneath harmonic distortion. Ayla, last of blood. You dine with the enemy. But we still breathe. Time is now. We strike on solstice night. Disable their planetary grid. You have access. Do your duty. Ayla stared at the glowing words for a long time. Her claws clicked reflexively. This was her moment. She could signal the Clawborn. Drop Earth's shield grid for 6 minutes. Enough time for the war fleet to burn the Terran cities to ash. But then she thought of Cynthia. Of the gathering hall. Of the little human child who had handed her a cupcake without fear. Of the Veltharian lute, preserved and played by a Terran archivist. She was not imprisoned. She was invited. What would it mean to betray that? Still, loyalty pulled at her bones. That night, she confronted Cynthia directly. You know, Ayla said, voice flat. About the message. Cynthia nodded. Of course. And you haven't confined me. We want to see what you do with freedom. Ayla barked a dry laugh. Is that your secret weapon? Guilt? No, Cynthia said. Hope. Climax. The feast of surrender. Solstice night arrived. Ayla stood on the terrace of the Unity Hall. Thousands of guests, humans and non-humans alike, laughed, drank, and shared dishes from dozens of worlds. A coded pulse waited in her implant. One blink of intention, and the shield grid would fall. The Clawborn fleet would enter atmosphere in 43 seconds. Cynthia stood beside her, holding 2 glasses. Mulled wine, she offered. Human tradition. Ayla took the cup. Her hand trembled. She turned toward the sky. And blinked. Nothing happened. Cynthia sighed, eyes misting. I had to be sure. You made the right choice. But temptation has to be tested. Ayla dropped the glass. You knew I might betray you. Cynthia's voice was soft. I knew you might be afraid. We all are. But trust is a risk worth taking. Ayla fell silent. Then, slowly, she reached into her sash and pulled out a worn Glorathian pendant, the sign of her bloodline. She placed it on the table between them. I no longer serve the Clawborn, she said. Cynthia raised her glass. Then tonight we feast not on worlds, but on understanding. Ending. Human forever hungry. Years passed. Ayla became an ambassador of the United Planetary Accord. She taught Glorathian history in Terran universities. Children drew pictures of her with 6 arms and wrote essays about how she helped stop a war with a choice, not a weapon. The humans never stopped eating. They sampled cuisine, language, belief systems. They absorbed without erasing. They listened, sometimes clumsily, often imperfectly, but always with intent. In a speech broadcast across 12 systems, Ayla once said, humans are terrifying not because they destroy but because they invite you in. They consume what you offer, not with mouths but with minds. They eat stories. They digest trauma. And they love you for your flaws. My people once expected to be eaten. But not like that. And so, the universe watched in awe, and perhaps some fear, as humanity grew ever hungrier. For knowledge. For peace. For connection.